Welcome to Blonde Cards and Crafts. Let's make something together. Hello crafter, today we are going to use the Love from Lizi April 2023 card kit called Rise and Shine. If you have a look in the description down below, you will find the card measurements to each of my 10 cards. You'll find links to the products I'm using, not only Love from Lizi products, but other products from my stash. And you'll also find links to the design team members who have also done a video using this kit, to the Facebook groups for my Facebook group called Your Cards and Crafts, as well as Lizi's Facebook group. So there's lots of information down below in the description. So if you want card measurements, etc., please click the more button down there and expand the description for that information. Okay, let's start with card 1. This is going to be a 5x7 card and it's a pop-up style card. For this we need some things here and I have everything ready. This piece of white cardstock measures 6 by 5. Onto that I'm going to add a piece of 5 3/4 by 4 3/4. On top of that then I'm going to add a piece of pattern paper. This piece measures 5.5 by 4.5 and that'll sit on here. Our pop-ups will sit on the front of this panel, so we'll get to those in a minute. What I want to look at is the back. Now you could just write your message here if you wanted, but I want to put some mats and layers. So I have a piece of navy cardstock and it measures 5 3/4 by 4 3/4. That'll sit on there. And then I have this white piece of cardstock. It measures 5.5 by 4.5 and I have 2 pattern paper strips. These are 1/4 of an inch wide and they're the length of our white panel. So I've room here to stamp a message and write a message to the recipient. Now on the front we're going to have some pop-ups. I have 2 pieces to share with you. The first one that I have here is a piece of 9 by 1 3/4, and on the 9-inch side I've scored it at 1/2, at 1.5, at 7.5 and 8.5. Then I also have this piece. It measures 7 inches by 1 3/4, and on the 7-inch side I've scored it at 1/2 inch and 6.5. This is going to sit behind this bigger piece. So on this bigger piece we want to add some mats and layers. I have a navy piece of cardstock. It measures 5 3/4 by 1.5, and this piece of pattern paper measures 5.5 by 1 1/4, and that'll sit on here, and then this piece will sit on here. I've taken a die from my stash. This was a die we got last month, this birthday wishes die. I have die cut it out in white. I've stuck it onto some navy cardstock, and then as you can see I fussy cut around that so it gives a shadow behind it. This I'm going to pop up on a piece of acetate, and that will be attached then to this layer so it'll sit up above. I have some embellishments. We got pattern paper and stamps and dies. Some of the pattern paper I cut pieces out of, not only the large cut aparts, but the little 2x2 pattern paper blocks that we got. So I fussy cut out some of those. I also took some of the pattern paper. I used the dies, the heart die and the butterfly die, to stamp out loads of these so I can embellish them. There's lots of embellishments that came in the kit as well, and I will be using those too. But for this card, you can see here, I have some little butterflies that I'm going to use to embellish it. So I'm going to clear everything off now. I'm going to glue down my mats and layers, and then we'll assemble the card together. So I have all my mats and layers ready to go. I've added my pattern paper and my mat layer to this piece here, and I want to glue that on to the front. And we're going to glue it on by these 2 tabs. So I'm going to put some adhesive or glue on here, and I'm going to glue that into place there. Then I'll add some glue to this piece and glue that down there. And then you can see our piece will be able to fold flat when we want to put it into our envelope. So I'm going to use some quick grab glue now in order to glue that down. So I'll add some glue to my tab. And then I can pop this down here like so. And I just want to make sure that this is lined up with our piece of white cardstock, which is our card base. And it's nice and flush there, you can see along the bottom here. So now I'm going to fold this over. So I'm folding it over on this score line here. And then I can add some liquid adhesive to this one. I can fold that under and then put that down. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to add some glue here. Then I can fold this piece under and lie it flat down, and everything should fold flat. So when I fold this over, it should all line up nicely. And you can see there that it does. So I'm going to speed everything up now. I'm going to add some glue to my tabs on my second piece, and then I'm going to fold them in and then glue them onto the sides. Then I can add my large piece to go on the back here at the front, and then I'll be able to embellish it. So I've taken some acetate. I'm going to stick on my birthday wishes, and then I can add some of the little butterflies to my other two strips of acetate and then add them onto the card as well. I'll stick one to the center panel and one to the front. I've taken my fussy cut butterfly as well as my sunshine, and I'm adding that to the front of the card, and a little butterfly onto the birthday wishes sentiment. So once I have all my little butterflies stuck down, I can then go to the back and stick down my panel on the back there. I'll add some fussy cut flowers to the bottom and two little butterflies up near the happy birthday sentiment, and I'm just using my hot glue to glue them down. So there we go, we have the back decorated using all our little pieces that we've die cut and fussy cut out, and then the front of our card looks like this. It stands up beautifully. There we go. It does, it stands up beautifully. It's nicely balanced. It's got our little butterflies here. I put one on the birthday wishes and one on the front there. And we've added our little sunshine as well, shine bright. So the whole thing folds flat like so, and it'll go into a 5x7 envelope. You could embellish these little squares here or here, depending on which way you want to fold it, but I don't really think they're necessary. I think that's just perfect the way they are. The only thing to do now to finish up is add a little bit of bling, and I'm going to do that by adding some of the lovely little gems that we got. I'll use my quick grab glue for that, and I'm just going to add a couple up here, and then I'll add a couple here, like as if they're little butterfly trails. And that's it. That is card number 1 done, our pop-up 5x7 card. So now let's move on to card number 2. For card number 2, we're going to make an A2 flat shaker card. I have a piece of 8.5 by 5.5 cardstock, and on the 8.5 side or length, we're going to score at 4.25. So that'll give us a 4.25 by 5.5 card, which is the A2 American size. So I'll just burnish that score line now to make sure our card sits nicely. On top of that then, I have a piece of pink cardstock. This piece measures 4 by 5.25, and I have a piece of netting. This is the netting that came in the kit, and I want to wrap that around my piece of card. Now on the back you can see I've used some double-sided tape. I'm going to wrap this around and stick it down, and then I'll put more double-sided tape over the top of that, and then that will secure onto our card base. I've also got a piece of packaging here. I'm going to use that to make my flat shaker. I've got some of the sequins and glitter, or should I say glitter and sequins, that came in the kit as well. I have cut out a piece. This was one of the cut aparts on the large sheets that we got, and I have stamped, "When it rains, look for rainbows." This I die cut out using the nested dies from Love from Lizi. So now let's go ahead and assemble our card. So I've left plenty of room around the card in the netting so that I can wrap that around and use some double-sided tape then to stick this down. The netting was a little hard to get wrapped around, but it's going to be wrapped by the plastic which has my shakers in it, my shaker pouch, so I was happy enough with that. Once I have that wrapped around and stuck down to the front of my card, I can then add my little panel, and that panel measures 2.5 by 3.25, and I used a nesting die to die cut that out. I'm using some hearts that I die cut out using a die that came in the kit, and I love this. I love a flat shaker card, and I hope you like this one too. We're moving on now to card number 3, and this is a faux stepper card. So if you like a step card but you don't like cutting into your cards to have the steps, well, this is for you. To make this card, I have a piece of 6 by 9. On the 9-inch side, I've scored it at 1, 2, 4.5, 7, and 8. And we're going to fold these into a mountain, a valley, a mountain, a valley, and a mountain. So I'm going to do that now first, and I'll use my scoring tool just to burnish those. So we have a mountain, and then a valley, and then we have a mountain and a valley, and then another mountain. And you can burnish these really nicely. You shouldn't find that it splays apart. If you use a good strong cardstock, this blue cardstock is the Crelando. It's from Lidl's, and it's a 280 GSM cardstock, so it's nice and strong. You can see that there. But you can always put a little piece in here if you want to stop it from splaying open. So now we have this piece. We need our faux step, and that's what this is. This piece measures 11 inches by 3 inches, and on the 11-inch side I've scored it at 1/2 inch, 5.5, and 10.5. And then we're going to fold these as a mountain, and another mountain. So although these won't be folded over, they're just going to sit on top of our card like so. And that's how that will sit in there. These little tabs will glue on here and here, so it'll allow our step to sit open and closed. We have some mats and layers now to go on here. So first of all, I have this piece. It measures 5 3/4 by 2 1/4, and this one is 5.5 by 2. These two will sit on here like so, and then they will go in here like this. Now you can put another one on the back there if you want. It's really up to yourself, but I think this card will be showcasing, you know, it'll be sitting on the mantle from the front. So all we're going to do really is have this piece here for our message. I have then another 2 pieces. This piece measures 4 3/4 by 2 3/4, and this piece measures 4.5 by 2.5. These two are going to sit together like so, and then they'll sit on here like that. And then I have this piece, and my white piece measures 5 3/4 by 3/4 inch, and then my pattern paper measures 5.5 by 1/2 inch, and that's going to sit along the front here. I've taken a cut apart And I have fussy cut around it because I wanted to keep my little bees here. Otherwise I could have die cut it as an oval, or you know, left it as a rectangle piece, but I wanted to sit on here like so. I've also taken a piece of the little blocks that we got. We got these little 2x2 blocks. Some are sentiments and some are just plain. And what I did was I took one that had this floral image and I fussy cut around that. And like I said, that'll sit on there, and it's got some foam tape behind it. I took a little bee of one of the other pattern papers, and I'll probably add that somewhere there, or maybe I'll add that over here. We'll have to wait and see. So that's all the pieces now. Let's glue our mats down and our pattern paper, and then we can assemble the card. So I'm taking my main stepper piece and I'm adding a little bit of glue onto this tab at the bottom, and I want to sit that down in here like so. And I want to make sure that it's centered. Now you can have it sitting off like this, and you could put a sentiment here if you want, or you could have it set over here and put a sentiment over here. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put that over here. I want to come in about an inch. So I'm just going to measure over so that I can have that over about an inch. Just there, that should be perfect, just for something different. So now I can close this up flat, add a little bit of pressure to that, and that'll catch on there. If I turn this over, I can now pop this one down here. I'm going to add another little bit of glue to my tab on this side. And then I can close this step over here. And there we have our faux step. Now, if you find your card is splaying open, you can cut an extra little piece. This piece measures, let me see, it is just over 3 inches. This is a scrap piece that I had in my stash, so it's just over 3 inches. It's 3 1/8, but 3 inches will be fine. And then it measures 2 1/2, and what I've done is I've scored it at a half, 1 1/4, 2, and then I folded them into a mountain, a valley, and a mountain. That'll give you this W shape. Now if you put that in here in the middle of the card, stick your tabs down like so and like so, it'll stop the card from splaying open too much, and that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to add some glue onto the 2 tabs, and then I'm going to pop it into the card, and that way you can choose how wide or not that it'll open for you. So I'm going to put mine in the middle here, and I'm going to bring it up about a 1/2 inch or 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. And I've kind of got it centered in there. I hope you can see. And now I'm going to close this one down on top of it. So that'll help now when the card is standing up. It'll stop it from splaying open. You can see it there where it's glued in a matching shape. So when that's open, it'll sit like so, and it won't open anymore. It'll close fully, and when it's set down on a shelf or on a mantelpiece, it won't open any more than that. Okay, so now we need to add on our lovely mats and layers, and I'm ready to glue them all on. I'm going to start now by adding my panel to the step part. Then I'm going to add this lower panel down, and then this one will go behind the step. So once I have those in place, I can add my little topper. I'll remove the foam tape and stick them down. I have the lovely little bumblebee or buzzy bee there. I've just glued down the body of that so that the wings can stay open. I've got my hot glue pen here, and I'm going to put a little drop of hot glue behind each of the wings. That way the wings will stay lifted when this goes into a card. Sometimes the wings would come out and they'd be flat to the card, but if you add a little drop of hot glue behind, then it keeps the wings lifted up. And I do use this little technique regularly when I'm adding little things like that onto the card. So now I'm going to add my little piece of my floral fussy cut piece onto the back. I could put a sentiment on there, but I'm going to leave it blank. That way I can write my message. And that then is our faux stepper card, inspired by Sam from Mixed Up Crafts. I love this one. So now let's move on to our next card. For card 4, we're going to make a 6x6 card, and we're going to frame it with our beautiful pattern paper. So to make my card base, I have a piece of 12x6 cardstock. I have a little piece of offcut there, and I've scored it at 6 inches, and that'll give us our 6x6 card base. Now I have a little piece of pattern paper here. This piece measures a 1/2 inch by 5 3/4, and I'm going to pop that along the bottom just like that there, and that'll embellish the card. We can pop our sentiment, stamp our sentiment inside, and I'll do that later. And on the front then we need 2 pieces, a piece of cardstock, and this is from my stash. It measures 5 3/4 by 5 3/4, and I'm going to stick that down there like so. Then I have this piece of pattern paper. It's 5.5 by 5.5. It's going to sit on top of our purple panel, but I want to take one of my nesting dies. This is from the Love from Lizi, and I want to die cut out an opening just on my pattern paper. What I can do then is add my focal point to that. So when this comes out, we'll see the purple piece below. This piece, it's one of the cut aparts from the larger sheets that we got. I freehand cutted it using a scissors, but I fussy cut around the butterfly's wings. So I'll add some foam tape to this, and this will be lifted up. And then we'll have our beautiful frame going around. Now, I have a sentiment for this, and these are some dies that I got from Love from Lizi. I think it's about 1.5 years ago, if not more, in one of the kits. It's a special birthday, but you can use whatever you have in your stash. I've die cut them out in the purple cardstock, and that's going to sit there. I used the little butterfly dies that came in the kit, and I have a plethora of them here, and I'm going to just embellish around the pattern paper with these, as well as I'd probably put 1 or 2 on the inside. So that's all our pieces now. What I want to do is I want to take my die, and just in case you want the measurement of this, this is 2.5 by 3 3/4, and I'm going to die cut that out there. I'm going to try and make sure that it's central on my piece of pattern paper. So once I've done that, I'm going to come back to you. You can see here I'm adding a layer of foam tape to my pattern paper frame. I've also put some glue on that for ease of putting it into position. I've doubled up some foam tape, and I've put that on the cut apart now, so that's raised up a layer higher than the pattern paper. Now you can just glue down the pattern paper frame and then add your special birthday panel there with just 1 layer. It's up to you, but I don't mind the extra layers. I'm gluing down my little butterflies. I'm going to colour in their little bodies to match the ones on the cut apart, and then I'm going to add some little tiny dots, the little filler pieces that come out of the circle in the sequins. I'm going to dot them along to make my little sequins butterfly trails. So there we are. There is our special birthday card with our beautiful butterflies and our raised panel. I just love this. I think it's so cute. And then inside we have 2 more little butterflies with our butterfly trails using the little sequins, the leftover sequins that we get in the bag. And don't they make fabulous little butterfly trails? I love it. I've used a sentiment from my stash then for inside. So all I need to do now is add a little bit of accent glaze or glossy accents to the front of this. I'll add some onto my butterflies. I'll add a little bit of Spectrum Noir sparkle pen as well to my special birthday, and you'll see that then in the pictures. So that's it, card 4. Let's move on now to card number 5. So here we are at card 5, and I have a piece of cardstock. This is a white card base measuring 12 by 6. I've scored it at 6. And you can see here I've already got my sentiment, and this is from my stash. I have a piece of pattern paper here. It measures 5 3/4 by 3/4 of an inch, and I have topped it off with a little peel off running the whole way along, and these are the peel-offs that came in the kit. So that'll embellish the inside of our card. I also have a couple of little butterflies here as well, and I'm going to use those to embellish inside. On the outside then I have a couple of pieces. I have this piece of cardstock. It measures 5 3/4 by 5 3/4, and you can see here I have 2 of the straight peel-offs, one at the top and one at the bottom. They're about 1/4 of an inch up from the bottom and down from the top. Then I have 2 pieces of pattern paper. This piece here was the cut apart piece. So it measures 5 5/8. Once I kind of cut it down and centered it up, I have that size. And then it is 3 3/4. I then took a piece of this pattern paper, and it measures just shy of 1 3/4 inches because I have it glued on here at the back, and again that measures 5 5/8 long. So where I have them glued together, I've then added one of the straight peel-offs across the middle as a border. You can see here also I have fussy cut out the little ladybird, and I have this stuck down. I used the die from last month's kit to die cut out birthday wishes. I've stuck that down, and that is layered. There's 3 layers on that. And then I have some of the other butterflies that I fussy cut out from the different cutter parts and pattern paper, etc. This piece is going to sit between our 2 peel-offs, and you should have literally about a 1/16 of a border going the whole way around there. That then will sit on top of our card base like so. And that will be that card. So let's go ahead now and assemble it. I'm adding my joined pattern paper panel down onto my coral coloured cardstock, and then that onto my card. I glue down the strip and then add my little butterflies onto the inside to decorate it. I'm going to take some of the gold coloured drops, the Love from Lizi drops, and I'm going to put a couple of those dotted around the card. And I'll also take my accent glaze and I'll coat my little bugs and my florals and little bits and pieces with that. When you tilt the card then into the light, you get all these lovely shine on the butterfly wings, the little ladybug wings, on the little bees that are hidden in there, as well as all the different flowers. And this really looks lovely. I'm delighted with this card. So let's move on to our next card now. So for card 6, I have a 6 by 6 card base, and this I made using a piece of 12 by 6, which I then scored down the middle at 6 inches. I have 2 black strips. These strips measure 1/2 inch by 6 inches. And what I've done is I've taken the peel-offs that came in the kit, and I've put 2 peel-offs on each strip. I've also die cut out some circles. So I have used the scallop dies that came in the August kit. So you can see here, I've taken this scallop die here for this one, and then this scallop die here. So these 2. And I've also taken a die from the nesting dies that's on Lizi's website, and I've die cut out this round. So I'm going to put that one there and that one there on top. I've taken some ribbon that came in the kit and I've tied a nice little bow, and I'm going to pop that on there. And then I have taken 6 of the little 2x2 pattern paper blocks that we've got, and these come with loads of pattern paper on them, and I have taken these 6. So what I want to do is take my card base. I'm going to pop my strips along the side here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop these down along beside it, like so. And I'll stick those in together. I'll just leave a tiny little gap between them, and then this piece I'll put some foam tape on the back and I'll pop that up for our sentiment. I'll embellish it then using some of the lovely little faceted gems that we got in the kit. So let's go ahead, speed everything up now and assemble our card. I'm finding the center point, the 3-inch mark at the top and the bottom of my card base. That'll give me an idea then for gluing down these squares. I wanted to kind of make sure they were central, but I'm going to leave a gap about the width of a peel off between them running down the center. And once I have those in place, then I can add my black strips along the side, and they're going to butt up against the pattern paper. So there's one and there's the other. Now I can add my little die cut topper together. I've put some foam between the black piece and the white piece, and then I'm gluing down the black piece to the card base. I'm using a little bit of hot glue from my hot glue pen to secure my ribbon in place, and then I'll add my faceted gems, and I'm just using a little bit of liquid glue for those as well. I want to be sure that they'll stay in place and they won't move. And that there then is card number 6. Inside I will embellish later with a hello you and 2 little hearts. So now let's move on to our next card, card number 7. For card 7 we're going to make an American A2 size card. This card blank measures 8.5 by 5.5, and I've scored it at 4 1/4. That'll give us our American A2 card. I've taken a punch and rounded over the top right corner and the bottom left corner, and that has given me this lovely shape. Now inside my card I have a white piece. This piece measures 4 by 5 1/4. And you can see here I have it ready to go. I've rounded over again the top right hand corner and the bottom left hand corner. I've added a strip of pattern paper. This is a 1/2 inch wide by 4 inches long. I've put a peel off then on top of that. I've stamped a sentiment from my stash, and I've added one of my little fussy cut butterflies. I took a fine liner pen from my stash as well and did a little butterfly trail. So that'll be the inside of my card decorated. For the outside of the card, I've taken these 2 pieces. They measure 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. What I've done again is I've rounded over the top right hand corner, just the top right hand corner, because one I'm going to turn down like this, so it ends up being the bottom left hand corner that's rounded over. So I'm going to put this one down here, and this one is going to go up here. Now you can see I've added some peel-offs. On my top panel I've put peel-offs on the left hand side and the bottom. Where the 2 peel-offs joined, I got a knife, a craft knife. This is the one that I have, and I cut across the corner. I hope you can see it there. I cut across the corner so that it gave me a picture frame edge. I think it's a miter edge, but picture frame edge is what I'm calling it. And you can see then on this piece that's going on the bottom left, I've only used some of my little scrap pieces of peel-offs that I keep on my sheet when I cut them down. And I've just put one here at the bottom right, up and the top left across, because that's all we'll need. There's no point in adding a whole peel off like what we've done here when you won't even see it. So now I've taken the tag die that came in the kit and I have cut out one in purple to match my card base. I've die cut out one in the pink polka dot, as you can see here, and then this was a cut apart piece that had this fishtail look to it, so I cut that out as well. I punched a hole through the three of them and I added a brad. These were brads that I got previously in another kit, and I thought the yellow one would be nice there, real brighten it up. This piece is going to go on our card front, something like that, I think. Then I have some fussy cut butterflies that I took off the pattern paper, the large cut aparts, and I just fussy cut these three out. You can see here I stamped Get Well Soon. This Get Well Soon stamp is from a previous Love from Lizi stamp set that I have in my stash. This came in the May 2021 kit, and I'm using the Get Well here. These little sentiments sometimes come in very handy, and I thought it set nicely astride the butterfly. I'm going to pop him up there. I've got some foam tape on the back, so I'm going to pop that on there. And then I have two more, and I thought what I would do is pop one here, and then this little one I'm going to pop over here. So that's how our card is going to look when it's finished. I'm going to go ahead now, speed everything up and assemble the card. I'm sticking my white panel on the inside, and then I'm going to put my two pattern paper pieces on the outside. And you can see there I've made sure that I have had a nice even border running around the two of them. Once I have my tags down and my butterfly down, I can then glue down my little butterflies on the corners. And I used my hot glue pen there to lift the wings, as you'd have seen in a previous card. I'll dot some of the lovely pink sequins around and fill them with my accent glaze. And then I'll take some of the purple Love from Lizi drops and make some really cute butterfly trails with that. And then I'll finish up using my Spectrum Noir sparkle pen on the wings of the butterflies. I'll come along later and I'll add some accent glaze to the butterflies' wings and to some of the little flowers as well, just to give a little bit of shine. For card 8, I have a 6x6 card base that I have made myself. Onto that, I'm going to add this. First of all, what I did was I took a piece of computer paper, and this measures 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. Onto that computer paper, I then stuck this piece. This measures 4 by 5 3/4, and this piece measures 1 3/4 by 5 3/4. I've taken a piece of holographic paper. You can see it here. It's 1/4 inch wide by 5 3/4 inches long. Onto this, on one side, I added one of the peel-offs, and we got these in the kit. This is going to go between these two, like so. Now, next, what I have done is I've taken the Love from Lizi nesting circle dies. I've taken 3 nesting dies. The largest one, I'm going to cut out an opening here on this piece. The next two down, then I use the middle one to die cut out a piece of holographic cardstock, and then the smaller one I die cut out this cut apart. Onto that I have stuck a die cut happy birthday, and these happy birthday dies came in a previous Love from Lizi kit. So again, I used the holographic cardstock to die cut those out, and I just love all the sheen that gives me. What I want to do is when I die cut out my oval here, I want to sit this in where this is going to be cut out. So it'll sit in like that on our piece of pattern paper. Inside then I have a piece of pattern paper that measures 3/4 of an inch by 5 3/4. And what I've done is I've added a 1/4 inch piece of the metallic cardstock or holographic cardstock, and then onto that I've added again a peel off. It should be that way, the drops fall down. So that will sit like so, and that's going to go inside our card in here, and then we'll be able to stamp our sentiment inside. So that's all our pieces and parts. Don't forget that all the measurements for all 10 cards will be in the description down below. Let's go ahead now, do some die cutting and do some assembly. So I'm going to die cut out my oval, and I'm going to make sure it goes just off the page like so. So when it sits on the cardstock, you'll see our white frame going around, and then we'll have this piece cutting out. So you can place your die wherever you like. You might be using a rectangle or a square. This is what I'm going to use, and I'm going to put that through my die cutting machine now. So now I've die cut out my circle, and this is our nearly full circle that we've die cut out, and that can be kept and used for another project. You can always put some flowers or something around here to cover up the piece that's missing, so don't get rid of that. That can be used again. Okay, so now I'm going to add on my little strip here. I'm going to glue that down and then glue this down onto my card base. I'm using my construction glue to glue this piece down, and I'm making sure to get right down into the points where the paper is cut there on the left hand side. I'll use my quick grab glue then on my little strip here, dividing the two papers, and then I'll glue down my topper piece in there in the opening. I've got my strip ready, so I'm going to glue that onto the right hand side and making sure that the drops are falling down, not falling up. And now I'm going to add 2 little die cut hearts using one of the dies that came in the kit. I'm going to pop my card into my stamping platform, and I'm going to add a sentiment here from my stash. I love this birthday sentiment. And so once I have that stamped down, I can then finish up the inside of my card with a little floral display that I'd fussy cut out earlier, and I'm going to put that at the bottom right hand corner there, and it just says celebration on it, and I think that finishes it off beautifully. I'll embellish the front then using some of the faceted gems, and that is it, our lovely happy birthday card. For card 9, I'm making an American A2 size card. This piece measures 8.5 by 5.5, and I've scored it at 4 1/4. Onto that, I'm going to add these 2 pieces. My pattern paper measures 4 by 5 1/4, and then my white piece measures the same. So the white piece will go on the inside, and my pattern paper will go on the outside. Now, I have these 2 pieces. This piece here measures 2 inches by 5, and this piece measures 1 inch by 5. I've taken a scalloped edged punch from my stash, and I have gone along, popped it in here like so, and then gone along and just put the scallops on both of these. I'm going to layer these one on top of the other, so we have a nice little peach colored border here. And then I have this piece. This is from the cut part sheet. So this piece measures, let me see, 1.5 by 5. And I'm going to add that on there. Where we have the mustard then in the middle, I'm going to use one of the peel offs to decorate and pull the purple in from the pattern paper. When I cut these 2 pieces out, it gave me these 2 pieces. So what I did was I lined them up and I glued them together. I've cut them off so that they measure 4 inches wide, and I'm going to add that to the bottom there. I'll add a peel off along the bottom as well, so it'll pull in the peel off that's going to be on this piece. It'll pull it in here, and then I can stamp a sentiment in there. I think something like thinking of you, something like that, or even hello you would be nice in here. So that's all our pieces. It's just a matter now of doing some stamping and some assembly. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm stamping Hello You in the Versive Craft Lemon Yellow ink, and these inks are available from Love from Lizi. This is number 111, and I love these inks. They stamp beautifully. I've glued down my little layer there at the bottom, and I'm also going to glue together my layers for the front. I'll add my peel off then, wrapping it around, and add some glue to that. Now, I should have actually glued this piece down first before I put this piece together, but that's the joys of using the construction glue. It stays sticky for that bit longer, so I had plenty of time to do that. To finish this up then, I'm simply going to use the butterfly die that came in the kit, and I've die cut out loads of these from the little blocks of 2x2 pattern paper that we got. So I'm just reaching for them to go with the colors, and I've added onto this piece 4 of the little butterflies. Inside I've added 1, and I've done my butterfly trails as well, and I've filled in their bodies using a black fine liner pen. So there we go. There is our lovely little A2 Sunshine and Happiness card. We have used our pattern papers, our cut aparts. We've die cut out some of our little butterflies and embellished them. And then inside we have our Hello You and another little butterfly. We could have put this as a top opening card and have our sunshine and happiness the other way up. But I have to say, I do prefer myself a side folding, a side opening card. I just find that when it's like this, it can't splay open anymore, you know, whereas a card like this, sometimes they can just go flat, and that's the one reason I don't make top folding cards very often. So whether you want it as a top folding or side folding card is up to you, but I think this is a lovely little sunshine card to send a friend with a little note to say you miss them. So that's card number 9, and now we're moving on to card 10, and this is the last card using this kit. And now we're finally on to card 10, and I'm finishing up with a 6x6 card. So you'll need a piece of 12x6 and scored at 6. As you can see inside, I have a piece of white cardstock. This measures 5 3/4 by 5 3/4, and I have a strip of pattern paper here. It's only a 1/2 inch wide by 5 3/4 inches long, and this is a strip of my pattern paper you can see over here. So on the outside of the card, I've taken a piece of pattern paper. This measures 5 3/4 by 5 3/4, and I've wrapped some of this beautiful netting that comes in the kit, and you can see that behind this is the soft watercolor background on one of the 6x6 pages that we got pattern paper in the kit. So I've wrapped it around, and I've used double-sided tape to stick down the back side as well as on the back here as well. So I'm going to stick that down onto my card base like so, and it'll give a little border all around the edge of our card. So then onto that I have this piece of pattern paper. It's 5.5 by 5.5. I took a beautiful die from my stash. This is a Love from Lizi die. This one here, it's the Nested Hearts. This was from the add-ons on July 2022, in July 2022. And so I think this is still available on Lizi's website. So as per usual, there will be links in the description down below, and if Lizi has them on the website, then you'll be able to grab them. I use these quite regularly. I love Lizi's dies. So I have taken the largest one and I've die cut out an opening. Then I've taken the next one down and I die cut out this image. It was a larger cut apart, and I just kind of focused on the flowers and this corner here, and I love that the purple is similar to the purple on our peel-offs too. So this heart is going to sit on the inside here like so. I've taken some flowers and leaves and this little watering can. These are images that were on the large cut apart sheets, and I just fussy cut these out. What I want to do is I want to embellish my heart. So this one is going to go on here, and I'll put a little bit of foam tape on this to lift it up. I'm going to use this little piece around the back here, and then I'll tuck some of these little flowers in with it. This one I'm going to pop on the top here and tuck another couple of flowers up at the top, so it'll sit in there like so. The watering can will go on the inside to embellish, but I just want to show you on the back of my heart I have some foam tabs. I've also put some foam tabs on the back of this die cut out piece. I've used foam from my stash, and this is that foam tabs that you get. I got this in deals, in my local deals, and it's so sticky. I don't use it very often because getting the release paper off the top is very difficult. But for you, I can speed through it. The reason I wanted to use this foam tape is because I know when I stick this down and it sticks through the netting onto the pattern paper, it's not going to go anywhere. And that was my one thing to ensure that however I stick my pattern paper on over the netting, that it would be secure. And with this, it'll be very secure. But I'm sure you could use double-sided tape or even some glue. Just sit some heavy weights onto the pattern paper if you're using a liquid glue and allow it time to dry. So these are all the pieces and parts that we need to make our card. Let's go ahead now, do some stamping and assembly. I'm stamping my sentiment using the VersaFine Clair Monarch ink, and I'm also using a previous stamp set from the Love from Lizi website. I've added my glue now to my panel as well as my double-sided tape, and now I'm going to take the release paper off my very sticky tabs on the back of this pattern paper. Then I can put that into place, push it down, and that is well secured. I'm delighted with that. I'm adding a little liquid glue to the back of my foam tabs on my sentiment panel heart, and that's just to ensure that that glues down as well. I'm sticking down the floral displays here with my quick grab glue and then adding in the extra little pieces there. And once I have them where I want them, then I'll be able to take a little bit of hot glue to those and make sure that they're lifted up. I don't want them to flatten down because there's a bit of dimension because our Hello You heart is up on foam tape. So by adding a little bit of hot glue behind those pieces, it will lift them up and stop them from sinking down. So again, I'm using my little hot glue pen. This glue pen is new to me. I only received it this week, so I've been trialing it, and I have to say, I'm very pleased with it. It automatically turns itself off after use, but it heats up within 6 seconds. I'm chuffed with it, and it gives a very fine amount. So now I'm on the inside. I've stuck down my panel, I'm adding my pattern paper strip, and then I'm going to add my little watering can using some liquid glue. And I'm really pleased with how this card turned out. On the front of the card, I'm adding accent glaze to all the flowers, as well as some of Lizi's pink drops here as well to embellish the front. And I love this. I think it turned out beautifully. And there we go. There is card number 10. And I just think that's so beautiful. Wouldn't that cheer anyone up? And we have so much in this, but yet so little. We've used some of the pattern paper to embellish it, as well as the netting. We've used some of the cutter parts. We've fussy cut out some leaves and flowers. We've added some of the Love from Lizi drops, the gem drops, as well as some accent glaze to our card. And there is so much shine and everything on this. And then inside we have our sentiment, as well as our fussy cut little watering can. So I love that, and I love the 10 cards that we've made. Let's have a quick look through all 10 now. So while we have a look through the cards, I would just like to say thanks so much if you're still here and still watching. I wonder, what is your favourite card? Are you getting the kit and will you use it, or will you use it with products that you have in your crafty stash? I'd love to know, so please do leave a comment down below and let me know. Remember, you can find all the links to the products that I used that are available in the description down below. I don't think there's any point in me putting links to products that are out of stock. You can share your makes on our Facebook groups. My one is Your Cards and Crafts, and Lizi's one is Love from Lizi. Links to those are down below as well. If you're a subscriber, thank you so much for subscribing. And if not, you might consider clicking the like button, clicking on the subscribe button, and clicking on the bell icon. The reason for that is, if you're a subscriber, you'll be able to see when I next post a video. It also shows the YouTube algorithm that you're interested in my videos, and it puts my videos out in YouTube world more. So I'd really appreciate if you could do that for me. So that's it. I'm going to leave you here now with the cards, and until next time, take care, my friends. Stay safe, and bye for now. Bye bye.